Welcome to a Monday edition of From the Nosebleeds. I'm Joey Gunnar here with Trent Finnegan. And I got to be honest, I don't think that my heart rate has come down since about 5:30 p.m. yesterday. Holy crap, what a game did we... I can't even put the words together. A 33-point comeback or scoring output in the fourth quarter for the Broncos leads them to a 33-32 win over the New York Giants on Alumni Day, representing the Super Bowl 50 team, which won 10 years ago today, or not today, but 10 years ago, honoring Demaryius Thomas, him going into the Ring of Fame. What a perfect outcome to a game that already had a bunch of energy and tension built up around it. You take into account the fact that there was all these, fights going on Twitter between these two fan bases, and the Broncos are able to pull off one of the most incredible comebacks of all time. And I think it's fair to say one of the most incredible comebacks of all time. Wow. What a game.
What a game. And, you bring up 33 points. Hey, Demaryius Thomas, he passed away at age 33. Broncos scored 33 in the fourth quarter. They started that last drive after the kickoff. The 1st and 10 was with 33 seconds left in the game. I mean...
And the first two touchdowns that the Broncos put up both equated to 8 points each, 88.
Some things just make sense. Some things just make sense.
Some things just make sense. You're right.
That game was crazy. And, a lot of people are going to talk about how, the Broncos did a great job really turning it on in the fourth quarter, and they won that game. But that was rough. That was trending to be one of the worst losses in recent. That was a Hackett-era performance for 3 quarters. Yeah. And they turned it around in the fourth quarter. They got the gift-wrapped interception from Jackson Dart. They got the 2 missed extra points. A lot of things went their way in that fourth quarter. It's still a great win, but I mean, that was one of the most improbable victories I can ever remember watching.
Yeah, and it really felt like that the entire game. And I got to be honest, I didn't feel that the Broncos deserved that win. They didn't play well. I mean, this is a story that we've become accustomed to this year specifically. They didn't play well for the first 3 quarters of the game. And then they have an outstanding fourth quarter where they put up 33 points, where it's easy to score touchdowns every time they've got the ball. That's what it felt like for that final quarter. But for the first 3 quarters, it felt very similar to the final 3 quarters of the Jets game or the first 3 quarters of the Eagles game. This is something that we're seeing very often with this Sean Payton Bo Nix duo. They don't keep things consistent. Consistency is probably the number one word I used last week, and they failed to be consistent once again. I don't feel happy about the way that the Broncos won. I'm excited about the fact that they, put up 33 points in the fourth quarter and ended up winning in an amazing comeback fashion. It's exciting, but I'm not happy about it. This is a 2-4 team, now 2-5 team that shouldn't be able to put up a fight with a team that has Super Bowl aspirations. I don't feel great about it. I definitely am excited about it, though, if you know what I mean.
Yeah, and you brought up the Sean Payton-Bo Nix duo. That was Bo Nix's 25th NFL start. Why are the training wheels still on? Why are the training wheels still on? The amount of times that they throw the ball behind the line of scrimmage or they give him a half-field read, and don't get me wrong, I think Bo Nix is better when he's rolling to his right. He has great accuracy on the run. Yeah. You saw yesterday, his legs are good. But every single time they need to get a 3rd and 6, it seems like they're rolling him out, and he's got an intermediate route, he's got a flat route, and he's only got half the field to look at. But then in these fourth quarters, when you have to start going tempo, you just open up the playbook, you open up the field, and you're allowing Nix to make these full field reads. He's succeeding, and it's doing him well. And I just look at it, 25 games, that's a lot of starts. I know he's still young. That's a lot of starts. You have to take the training wheels off, and if Bo Nix doesn't succeed, then you have your answer. That's not your franchise quarterback. And if he does, great. It's probably too late. This is sink or swim, and they need to take these training wheels off soon because other teams like the Chiefs, I know you see what the Chiefs are doing recently. They look like themselves again. They're not going to clown around with Denver like the Giants and the Jets are. That's for sure. So Sean Payton, I don't know if he doesn't trust Nix. I don't know what's going on, but the training wheels have got to come off. It's been way too long.
Yeah, 100%. I don't know what was going on yesterday, and it seems like something that, again, we've seen a couple times this season, the miscommunication between those two, Sean and Bo Nix, because Bo looks like he has a little bit more that he wants to do, and Sean maybe, is pushing him too far and then not pushing him enough at certain points. It's a weird dynamic between those two guys. But when it matters, in the fourth quarter, Bo Nix made some really big plays, and seeing him with that fire and the way that he can lead a team when it comes down to that, 2-minute drill. They were they were still down a touchdown with 2 minutes and 14 seconds, I believe. And then they go out down a touchdown again with 30 seconds remaining. And both of those times ended with the Broncos taking the lead. So what Bo Nix has been able to do in those pressure scenarios has been great. There just seems to be something off that's holding them back from playing like that for all 4 quarters rather than the final quarter. But it wasn't just Bo, because the defense didn't look like themselves either. I can't tell you what was going on that defensive end, but they should have been playing much better. They should have been playing at a higher level. They still ended up getting 4 sacks, but that's not what we are used to with this Broncos defense. They had that one late turnover, which was crucial. But again, how much was that to blame on the defense, or was that just the Giants shooting themselves in the foot? I don't know.
So on that interception, they have Dart wrapped up. So I'll credit it to the pressure. Again, Dart, that's just a young mistake. That's a play he needs to eat and just take the sack, kill the time. But it is funny how we're sitting here and we're like, oh, they only got 4 sacks. Like, that's just how good this pass rush is.
Yeah.
But if you watch the game, on the most important snaps, the pass rush was not getting home. Mm-hmm. And I know Cooper had a sack and a half, but Benito was stonewalled all day on that left side by Andrew Thomas, who had a great performance for the Giants. But think about it. Dart's first touchdown, he scrambled. He had plenty of time in the pocket. He finds Daniel Bellinger wide open up the right side after a miscommunication in coverage. The 4th and 19 on the last drive, even though there was roughing the passer, Dart's able to step up, step right, and he's got plenty of time. Wan'Dale Robinson comes open at the sticks. So I know they had 4 sacks, but on the crucial downs, Dart had a lot of time to throw, and that's not what we're accustomed to seeing from this Denver defense, and it almost cost him. I know there was a lot of other things wrong, but it shows that if this pass rush isn't playing at an elite level, there are cracks in this defense behind the front 4.
Yeah, which is kind of scary to say, honestly. Like, hearing you say that, it gave me some shivers right there. But, there is a lot to look at just all around this game, but what's always great to hear is what the players have to say. And it's really funny to hear a defensive leader like Pat Surtain talk the way that he does about this game. Take a listen to this clip here from Pat Surtain.
When the game, what was the first thought that went to your head?
Man, relief. I lost hope. I ain't gonna lie. I lost hope. It was one of them games, man, where we felt like we didn't execute. I mean, you go in the film room, there's a lot of corrections, but one thing we didn't lose was composure. And, we fought to the end. You never know in this league, no matter how much you're down, it's always a will and there's always a way. So
look at that. Your former DPOY saying you lost hope in a game. I don't know. I mean, I think it's just, a quote. He's just saying, I lost hope. We ended up pulling it out. But is that really something that you want to hear from somebody like PS2? I'm not trying to draw or stir up anything, but I mean, come on. You lost hope? You lost hope?
I kind of respect the honesty. Like, I would respect them saying that than a cliche, PR trained response. And I mean, a lot of people lost hope. You saw all the people piling out the exits in the stadium after that Giants got that tip touchdown. And even on that last touchdown after the Giants moved the ball strictly on penalties, like there was a lot of reason to kind of give up. But then Bo Nix says post game, he was like, we could have quit. He said, we could have quit. We could have easily just said, hey, this isn't our day, and rolled over. And they didn't, and they fought. And I think that speaks volumes to this team, that they're always going to fight for 60 minutes. And as long as the clock doesn't say 0, they're going to fight. They showed it against Philly. They showed it against New York yesterday. So And we got a YouTube comment here from Travis Patton that says these close games can help us out in the long run. And I think that that's a great thing. You know, like a lot of people are like, hey, how much are the Broncos going to beat the Giants by 10, 15, 20? And instead they're in this dogfight. And I really think that that is more valuable win to this team, having to find it, get it out the mud and scrap a win out than blowing them out wire to wire. So there are plenty of good things to grab from this win, but there are also, like we've been saying, a lot of bad things as well that need to get cleaned up.
Yeah, I mean, you look at the win over the Bengals. How much did that teach the team? Did they learn anything from that win? Did they? No, nothing. No. What did they learn from yesterday's one? Probably a lot. You know, there's a lot that they learned and gained because of how hard this battle was. You know, coming back at home on such a big day like yesterday was. You got the Super Bowl 50 team in attendance. You're honoring Demaryius Thomas, and you're down 19-0 to start the game, and then you end up putting 33 points up in the fourth quarter. That does something mentally to you. It does much more than blowing out the Giants 35-0 or 35-7, like what happened to the Jaguars yesterday. That doesn't teach anything to the Rams with that win. This win that the Broncos got means more because they had to fight for it. They didn't just get given it. But I kind of want to circle back to Bo Nix again. I don't feel like I did a good enough job at being upset at his performance yesterday because honestly, and this might sound crazy, but he did not play well at all. He didn't. I don't think that there was much that I saw from him that I was actually like, okay, that's really good. Like even we'll go through a couple plays, but you know, he's got a touchdown to Troy Franklin. That was a tip drill because Courtland Sutton couldn't grab the ball. That was a tip drill. And then you look at his run, great run for a touchdown. It was a great run
and
for
a great
touchdown.
Play call. Great play design.
Great play call. Yes. The QB designed run out to the left side. That was great. But his other passing touchdown, the one to RJ Harvey, was there anything special about that?
It was just a simple sprint flat. It was one of the most simple
there
goal
are
line
50
concepts.
QBs in the NFL that can make that same exact pass.
Yeah.
You know, you look at what happened on the last 30-second drive. He threw a deep ball that was caught by Marvin Mims, and it looked great on TV. Yeah. But that ball was being passed to Courtland Sutton.
Yeah, we'll never because Sutton's full extension reaching out for it. Mims, it just falls in his lap, and
Mims stopped running the route. And he just kind of sat there and turned around. He didn't know the ball was coming until it was about 2 meters away from his face. You know, he just turned around and it fell right onto him. That was a ball to Courtland Sutton. And then the other ball to Courtland Sutton, that's just a 50-50 ball. I know 50 QBs in the NFL that can make that exact same pass. You're passing it to one of the guys, a big, strong guy with some of the best hands in the NFL. That's just giving your team a chance. I don't know if I'm ready to say that was anything other than a mediocre game from Bo Nix.
Yeah, and he had the 2 deep balls in the first half that he just threw 10 yards out of bounds.
Yeah.
Like there was one play he had Mims running a chair route up the middle of the field. He had Franklin up the sideline. He throws it 10 yards over Franklin's head. And then in the fourth quarter, he started kind of going back shoulder a little bit. He had the back shoulder throw to Mims. Yeah. He had the one to Sutton at the end. And it's like, hey, just give these guys a chance. A back shoulder throw is one of the best throws in football against man coverage because the DB isn't looking for the ball.
Yeah.
So, and he finally figured that out. But when you're sitting there and it just, you see him like take those 2 crow hops and just totally unload. And you're like, all right, that one's going into section 505.
Yeah, literally.
There's a lot to improve upon. And then again, there was a couple times where he got happy feet and he was leaving them short and still a lot to, nothing he's done this year against quality opponents for a whole game has proven like, hey, this is your franchise quarterback.
Oh, I haven't seen that at all. Even against the non-quality opponents, I'm still like, I mean, it's okay. Yeah. Now, that being said, it doesn't take away from the fact that he still did have a historic game yesterday. First player in history to have 2 passing and 2 rushing touchdowns in a quarter. I believe that's the stat that I saw from the NFL. Yeah. Insane. I mean, that's incredible. But again, you're touching the ball every time. You got these QB designed runs. You have an easy flat route that you're throwing to RJ Harvey, and a ball gets bobbled and tipped into Troy Franklin's hands for a touchdown. I don't know if I'm ready to crown that as one of the best performances that I've seen. I don't, again, feel like this was a good win. It was an exciting win, but that's very different from a good win. Can you just wrap it up, like wrap up the game in your words? How do you feel about this win? Are you confident, non-confident, happy, sad? What is it?
I I don't even know. It's the craziest game. I just think that you got to look at it and say, hey, we're 1-0 this week, but we need to look at all the improvement stuff. I mean, I think it's great that they won, but there should be a lot more of kind of deep diving and looking to where things need to be fixed and to be like, oh, awesome, we won. Like, remember, this Giants team isn't that good. And I want to touch back to what you just said about Knicks. Like, yeah, he's got 40 fantasy points. He's got 4 touchdowns in the fourth quarter. But, like, you look at it, and it's, like, all tempo. It's nothing in, like, a normal game script. And then, meanwhile, like, for me, I'm looking at a guy like Justin Herbert who had 420 yards and 3 touchdowns yesterday, and his team still lost because their defense can't stop anybody. Mm-hmm. And Herbert's playing with his 7th offensive tackle this year. Like, they're injury decimated. Like, I see a guy like that, and I'm like, that's a franchise quarterback. I see what Bo Nix is doing through the course of the game, and I'm like, this looks like a stopgap quarterback that you have in town for a year or two while you try and find your long-term answer. So
yeah, and that's hard to say, but it feels real.
Yeah. So, but then, yeah, to answer your question, you gotta look at it, good win, but you got to be looking at the mistakes and the issues more because you got, I would say, the MVP frontrunner, Dak Prescott, come to town next week, and 2 very good receivers in CeeDee Lamb and George Pickens. Like, that game is going to be a wake-up call if they're not ready.
Yeah, a great tight end, too, and Jake Ferguson. The Cowboys look good.
And Javonte Williams looks great.
Yeah, Javonte's return. Yeah, I love Javonte. I love Javonte Williams so much. I kind of want him to run all over. Same way and this sounds like sacrilege, and if people are going to hate me for this, but I kind of wanted to see Russell Wilson come into the game yesterday and throw a touchdown. Like, I just think that would have been so funny to see. Like, can you imagine what the reaction would be like if Russell Wilson came into the game and threw a touchdown?
Oh my goodness. There would have been a full-on riot at that stadium. And there was a point, Dart had that moment where he kind of tweaked his ankle, and
you see Russ got his helmet on, and he's like,
Russ has got his helmet on, he's like licking his fingers, he's ready to go, and I'm like, I was so excited. This could be awful. But I was sad we didn't get to see that. That was the only thing missing from yesterday's game was Russell Wilson getting booed like louder than no other players gotten booed before.
Yeah, I wonder what it was like at the actual stadium just when he stepped on the field, because I guarantee it was a loud place to be. But yeah, overall, what a wild game. I don't know if I can quite put into one word how I feel about it. If I had to right now, I'd probably say confused. Because that's not how I expect them to play. You want them to be better. You want them to not have to put up a fight against the 2-5 team. I get what Travis Patton was saying earlier in our YouTube comments about how this is a more valuable win, but valuable is what you make it. I'd rather have already had that value of what this game could be, if you understand what I'm saying. Like, there shouldn't be a reason why you have to scrape a claw against the 2-5 team. But overall, a win is a win. It's going in the left column. The Broncos need to get ready for next week, just like you said, because that's going to be a much tougher battle against this Cowboys. The best way to do that is just attack their defense, because that is what looks awful this season. Their defense is just terrible. I mean, if you can hold them to 35 points, because their offense looks great, you'll be able to beat them, because this is a team that you can put up 42 on easily. But overall, solid, crazy win yesterday. But there is more to talk about, because in about 7 hours, we're going to hear about the decision that the Nuggets are making about one of their biggest players, and that is if Christian Braun will get his extension. It's set to be a pretty big number. I mean, I can't even fathom what he's looking at on that piece of paper, but it's set to be around 115 million, maybe more. What are we looking at here for the Nuggets, Trent?
Yeah, so originally, people were thinking 30 million, which is that's steep. That's a lot of money. But we got a report today that this is from Hoops Hype. They published this morning that said looking around 5 years, 115 to 125 million. I think 5 for 115 is a deal. I think there's no way you can say no to that. 5 for 125, I get that that's a little expensive, and that's probably the top of the price range. But
yeah, it's 25 a year.
We spoke about this last week. You have to get this done. You have to if you're the Nuggets. And maybe Brown is looking for 130, 135 for 5 years. Maybe he only wants 4 years. Who knows? I mean, I would want 5 years playing with Jokic. You kidding me? So, but you see other contracts like Dyson Daniels wants 5 for 150, and he's an all-defensive player. He's worth that. And the Hawks are only looking to give him 5 for 115. Toumani Camara, he was drafted in the second round of that draft. So his contract numbers are a little different, but he got 4 for 82, and he's a really good player as well. So you need to find a neighborhood in between Camara and Daniels' number probably, which is what Ben Tenzer and John Wallace are looking at. But I just don't see if that number is 5 for 120. If it's $25 million a year or less, I just think you have to do it. There's no way that you can play the restricted free agency game. I mean, we just wasted 2 years of Jokic's prime retooling the roster. Already had 1 year wasted with the injuries with Murray and Porter back in 22. So years have been wasted, and they brought in this new brass with Tenzer and Wallace and Adelman. They're trying to restructure this team to take advantage of Jokic's prime. And if you let your best defensive guard walk, and I know that there's the whole restricted free agency game, but that's a little complicated in the summer and whatnot.
Oh, yeah.
If you let your best defensive guard walk, what is that saying to Jokic?
Oh, that would be saying a paragraph of reasons why we don't want to give you another championship. You know, that's what that is. But I doubt that they'll let him walk. I really, really doubt it. I'm actually glancing down at my phone just to make sure nothing's coming through as we've been speaking about, the Broncos and the Nuggets. But this is something that I'm very confident will happen today because you see Tenzer and Wallace. These guys know what they have on this roster, and they know what they have in the future. And when you're talking about the future, there's a few names that pop up, and those big names are Brown, Watson, Julian Strother. Those guys are the future. Right now, you have the talent to go out and win a championship, but what happens when Nikola Jokic retires, which could be in 5, 6, 7 years? Maybe it's 3 years. Maybe it's when this contract ends. That's just the way Nikola Jokic is. You need to be focused on, okay, right now we're in the golden era. Right now we are in a championship window that is wide open. But what happens when that closes? Do we still have the future to make another push? Christian Braun is that future. I guarantee that they're looking at that $5,125,000 and saying, you know what? It's a pretty good price tag for somebody like CB, for somebody that has this drive, who's won a finals, who is now a starting shooting guard in this league, who is one of the most athletic players that we have on the roster. They know his value, and so does he. I would be very, very shocked if a deal doesn't come through today.
Yeah, and you said future. You have Nikola Jokic. Screw the future. This is the best player you're probably ever going to have in this franchise's history. You need to maximize every moment you have between now and 2029, we'll call it. I don't know. You have to maximize it. And yeah, that Nets pick in 2032 that they got in the Michael Porter Jr. trade, probably going to be pretty good because Jokic is going to be gone. And if the Nuggets play this right, they pour all their assets into now. You know how much money the Kroenke family has. They can pay these taxes. They can pay these guys. You have to maximize this window. Yeah, you might have.
You're right. You're right. I was just going off. They're saying like the future. Who cares about the future? Well,
you might have a
Nikola
cool
Jokic
player in 10 years that's like a second team All NBA guy,
like a Damian
third
Lillard
team. Yeah,
you're
never gonna have a Jokic again. You have to take advantage of this, and it's just, and like we're saying, if they don't get this deal done, which we both agree would be blasphemous, that's speaking volumes to Jokic, and I don't know how he'd react. I don't know how the team would react because Brown is one of their glue guys along with Aaron Gordon. He brings the energy. He brings the defense. He is so important, and you have to put all your resources into winning in the next 5 years because it's going to be the best chance you're ever going to have in this franchise's history to do so.
100%. 100%. But we'll be checking that all day, making sure that Christian Braun does get his extension. Make sure to check out our Twitter and YouTube tonight for our weekly poll. I guarantee this is going to be a fun one, talking about, yesterday's win, how confident you're feeling, something along those lines. So keep an eye out for our polls there. We'll react to those on Friday. But I think that'll do it from today's episode of From the Nosebleeds. It's an exciting week. We're going to be here all week, Monday through Friday, and Thursday is going to be very fun. And you know why, Trent? Because it's the first day of the Nuggets season. We're talking about the first game of the Nuggets season happening this Thursday. We're going to be talking about that all week coming up. More to talk about. Of course, getting ready for a big Cowboys game. But stay tuned. Come in tomorrow at 9 a.m. We'll be back. But until then, y'all have a great rest of your day. Thank you and goodbye.